Well, hello there, sunflowers, and how are you guys today? Well, I'm here to do a reading on Alabama Barker, and interestingly enough, I had done a quick search up on her because even though she has been in the news recently, she just recently turned 19, in fact, actually. Um, but she was in the news within the last few months or the last couple of weeks because of Danielle Bergoli or Bad Baby, and apparently LV or Vaughn, however, or Lavon is his name. So because of that, Alabama seemed to have tied herself up in some drama towards the end of the year. So that was great for her. However, sadly, she did have to get hospitalized due to a panic attack. And this isn't the first time that she has talked about having a panic attack before. She has done it before in the past, but at first she thought it was in that past, it was due to the fact that she had quit smoking and she thought she was having nicotine withdrawals, and that's why she was having the panic attacks. Oh, and let's also not forget this is the same Alabama Barker who's talked about calling in allegedly. Remember, everything I said is allegedly calling in a doctor to prescribe her medicine. So, yes, this is the same Alabama Barker allegedly. However, some things that I did find out is that she has an autoimmune disease, and I wonder if I can find her birth chart because I'm very curious if there's anything placed in her Taurus sign. However, or Scorpio too, because it can also ricochet back into the sign that's opposite of it. But she is an Earth sign, Alabama Barker herself, a Christmas baby, born December 25th, so that makes her a Capricorn. And on the day that she was born, her moon sign was in the sign of Libra, which I could kind of see the imbalance there if we start thinking about the hormones, because hormones definitely impact the way that the body regulates itself, especially your thyroid. Your thyroid has a major part in getting your body regulated, especially with her weight. And if that's so she struggles to gain weight. Oh no, she gains a lot of weight. So to counteract that, she takes weight loss drugs in order to maintain her balance. And you can see right there, there's that Libra playing in, trying to play the yo-yo of too much, gotta take away, so therefore I can always remain healthy. But also with the whole autoimmune disease, your body is definitely, that's why I would also really love to know what her rising sign is, because how's her immune system? Like, what's her first line defense? How does her body really affect or effectively combat diseases or incoming foreigner bacteria that gets inside? And because she has an autoimmune disease, whatever her rising sign is, or it doesn't always have to be the rising sign, but that's what I know so far. There could be other placements too. But just the fact that her immune system is weakened means that she, somewhere in her chart and placement, could also represent Pisces too as well, because that has to do with the lymphatic system. But I'm not trying to give you guys a whole biology lesson here. I just find it very curious about Alabama Barker, and I'm here to do a health reading on her. So with that being said, I am going to, if you guys do not know, I'm reading a new deck called the Unknown Tarot, the Wild Unknown Tarot deck. And I'm still using the Letterman, and I think I'm going to pick this card. No, not that card. This card for Alabama. Because, I mean, she is 19, but she does act more mature than her age. She was messing with somebody quite the age difference over her. Almost a slightly significant age difference. But anyway, all that to be said, and to be distracted from, let's just shuffle the cards to figure out how's Alabama Barker. Oh, yes. She was just recently released from the hospital as well. And I don't follow her quite as much, but Do you guys tell me, does she look unrecognizable in these photos? It definitely looks like she has lost some weight. I'm not sure if that's just due to the difference in the clothing that she was wearing versus what she was wearing when she walked out of the hospital. But we definitely saw a plain down, for real, 19 teenager walking out, walking. So it was just significant. It was just amazing to see what Alabama looks like behind all the glitz and the glamour. And she, you could say she does look like she has been struggling with her health, or like she's been through. So she kind of may be looking how she feels. But you know what? That's why we're here to pull the cards, check in on Alabama. Was she messing with Levon? Was that all just some game, some mess, some distraction? What's going on with you, Alabama? You got a lot of health conditions. Jesus, Travis, what's in your jeans? Oh, poor Rocky 13. Oh, yikes. And it's mixed with that Kardashian blood. Woo! Anyway, speaking enough of genes and fathers and parents and parenting things and things being passed down, generational curses, let's get a reading on Alabama Barker. Let's lighten up the mood some. So let's pick out the first card to see what is her. So interestingly enough, I see the Six of Pentacles, which usually has a symbol of somebody balancing out the even scales. So maybe that's, and because she does have a moon sign as a Libra, that could be something inside of her emotionally. This could have been, I don't want to say tumultuous, but it was something that was needed in order to maybe restore some balance. Sometimes when you get a little too I don't want to say too chaotic or too out of yourself, but sometimes when you do things that might be out the norm or just put too much energy into something, especially when you have some pre-existing health conditions, it can easily make you susceptible to energy. So therefore, Alabama Barker really does have to be protective of her energy and who she hangs around with, and especially who she lays down with. But that's a whole completely other different story. So let's just figure out what the block problem is for, wow, the Seven of Swords. The Ten of Swords is the block problem. And if you see in this card, it could be a buffalo, but it is definitely a mammal of some kind that is impaled, basically. Deceased, finito, gone, basically. And maybe that could symbolize the fact that she's been abandoning her health, or maybe neglecting her health, not paying much attention to it. And this just happened to be a wake-up call for her. Like I said, restoring that balance, bringing back into balance. Hey, refocus your attention, refocus your energy first, because she has been on this journey. First she quit the smoking, now this is just like another thing. So she is trying to improve her health. So because of that, we see that maybe she could have slipped, or living with chronic health conditions, you just have bad days and good days, and that just happened to be a bad day for her that led her into the hospital. However, because of in present time, so because of that, whether it could have been stress, whether it could have been neglecting herself, it's definitely the swords. That definitely meant that her physical body was okay, her moon, okay. Let's break this down real quick because I'm just understanding this. So her moon sign is a Libra, and the moon sign has to deal with your emotions. But this is the Ten of Swords, and the Swords has to deal with your mental, and we're not sure if she's been diagnosed with anxiety, but it seems like she might be having symptoms of anxiety with panic attacks and getting anxious, nervous, having like maybe some freak out moments. So because of that, that weighs on you emotionally. And that also too has to deal with some chemical imbalances. Like I said, I'm not here to give you a whole medical lesson here, but that also has some things to do with Libra as well as Aries too. Like I said, they ricochet back on each other. Aries and Libra play this tug of war with each other, just like all the other signs do within each other. But enough of medical astrology. So because of this, because because something's been weighing down on her mentally, she's been stressed. It just happened to man. What is with this theme with me with dealing with people's mental health and their physical health lately? But her mental health has definitely affected her physical health, and that's what I'm picking up in her reading. So to figure out what was in the past, like what could have led up to this episode happening, we have the High Priestess. The High Priestess. And you see the moon. And in this picture, the moon is waning, which means it's getting dark or getting small, which basically means it's getting ready to have a dark moon, which again basically means the fact that her emotion, she's really, at least at that time that led up to this, she was getting ready to go through a whole new emotional, transformative, maybe spiritual, and that's what she could have been seeking too. And when you seek these journeys, you got to sometimes open up these portals, really dive deep inside of yourself and really deal with the shadows of yourself that you don't want to deal with. And like I said, if she's maybe not dealing with that, but she subconsciously is having that inkling to do it, or maybe she's doing it and it isn't quite translating to her physical reality, but she's still doing that inner work, but she's not doing the outer work, and it hasn't quite manifested and shown itself properly. We do see that whatever it is, she could be getting blocked by the physical world on her spiritual journey. However, let's see what the future is going to be for her, and then we also going to pull some more cards to find out. Wow. In the future, we definitely have the Hermit, which is another symbolization of retreating, going within, really having this sit down talk, having a one-to-one therapy chat with herself. I'm not sure if she goes to therapy, but the Hermit is really somebody that goes within inside. This is actually a tortoise. And as she is an earth sign, let me get really excited about this tortoise for a second. I'm not sure if you guys seen Finding Nemo, but there's a whole other story about a tortoise. But a tortoise has this thick shell that it can retreat into, but a tortoise is completely a whole lot different from a turtle in the fact that it can dwell on land, just like a mountain goat. A mountain goat is an earthly creature, yet it can be in these high elevated places in the air realms, which we see that she's struggling with. The mountain goat is struggling. The earth is struggling to be in the air. We see it right here with these two balances. And because of that, the emotion, whatever is going on within her emotionally, internally, that she hasn't quite addressed yet, or isn't addressing, or is in the process of addressing, it is affecting her physically. Because, like I said, her immune system is weak, but it's not all the time that there's physical foreign invaders like bacteria, funguses. No, it's not always that's going to enter your body. Things can enter your body spiritually and intellectually and in the emotional space and in other places as well. Things can enter you. But in that sense, with Alabama Barker, whatever is she's allowing to flow and traffic through her mental space is affecting her physical space. So let's just pull out the cards to really figure out what's going on in the past, present, and future. Ooh, okay. I hope you guys enjoyed that reading and also enjoyed some medical astrology. Mama Crone is definitely over here inspiring the astrologer in me. As you see, the more she talks about astrology, the more baby Crone talks about astrology. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Well, actually, I'll put that there. I slightly forgot what I was doing for a second. So the way I laid them out. There we go. And don't worry, that literally did not change it. That what the Letterman format that I was just doing is literally the rearranged Celtic cross. And these 4 quarters that I just moved out of place, this spot is always the outcome. And therefore, the way I laid them out is the way you arrange them up the totem pole. And this represents the outcome. So just so you guys don't think I'm like messing up doing any of the reading, we'll put this to the side for now. Not quite sure what I'm going to need that for, so we'll just find out. We'll find a way to get it in. Okay, so what I see above her head right now in this present moment is, and what is currently weighing down on her mentally. Again, we have swords, and it's the 8 of Swords, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. Some transformative period, really addressing some things, going through like a dark night of the soul, having a panic attack. Because sometimes when you're elevating and changing and you're growing like a cocoon, like a caterpillar turns into the butterfly, something literally has to die in order for something else more beautiful to grow. But it is hard to let parts of you die, honestly. Like, come on, for real. How, like, let's be honest, how hard is it all for us to accept things, let things go, move on from things, being willing to accept things, and just be willing to like walk away and honestly stand in solidarity, knowing that it's going to be a-okay, and not like shed like any kind of feelings. Like, honestly, how many people can do that? Not quite many people, without having some fight or kickback, right? That's exactly what it's like when you're going through the growing pains in the transformative period, just like the butterfly, just like the caterpillar goes in order to turn into a butterfly. And because of that, even though she's blossomed, and even though she's grown, even though she's only 19, but I totally get it. Even though she's blossoming and she's grown and she's really to cocoon outside of herself, and maybe she'd be feeling like she's holding her own self back, because we have these swords aimed up at towards her, basically like she's dangling over it like a pot roast, and these are the flames ready to cook her. That's literally how she's feeling mentally. So she could be a mentally hard critic on herself. Maybe because she's related to a famous parents, and now co-related to a famous family, that there's just more pressure, more attention. Maybe she wasn't cut out for the spotlight, but she's coming into the spotlight, or who knows? I mean, like, she came out with Vogue, right? So she wants to be in the spotlight. She's trying to make something of herself. Quite what was the message of Vogue? I'm not sure. It fit the mainstream media. Was there anything really deep about Vogue? No. It was good. It was honestly good. It was good. It had a nice beat. I like her tone. But all that to be said, she's trying to find herself. She's trying to, I don't know, Vogue? You know, I'm not sure. Like, is she trying to like pose for Vogue magazine, or is she trying to like Vogue and sass and like owning her confidence Vogue? Like, where was she going with Vogue? But all that to be said, I like to sometimes analyze music, because sometimes artists really do subconsciously put themes into their music. But what I see at the very bottom of her is a spider, which definitely means that this is definitely a journey. She is crafting herself. She's working hard in herself. She's overcoming, getting untangled from her web, and learning how to spin the web and not get caught up in it, maybe. You know, get in the world, but not attached to the world. Always keep yourself ahead of the game. Like this spider. This spider owns its silk, just like the mountain goat owns the mountains. So because of that, she's trying to command her space, And as a Capricorn, that's exactly what, I always talk so general about it, but it's more deeper than this, but just simple Capricorns, just on a general principle, they can tend to be more concerned or prioritize their persona, how they're seen in the world, how people see them. Maybe she doesn't want to be seen as like a daddy's girl. Maybe she doesn't want to be seen as that like rich girl that has like mental problems. I'm not sure what she's trying to convey herself as, but as she's coming more into the media, she's trying to establish her presence more. Now I know she has an Instagram account and has been on social media way before Vogue and all of this. But we're seeing a new side of her. We're seeing her evolve. We're seeing her grow. We're seeing her have those moments where she goes inside and really reflect within herself. Sometimes just fighting herself, dealing with herself, getting in tune with herself, and maybe going against herself, maybe she feels like she should do something and she maybe doesn't follow her intuition like she should, and then she ends up in situations where she's going to have to really reflect back and really think, was this the best outcome? So because of that, that could be some other things that affect her health. So because of that, she really has to, the best way I can say, just get really in tune with herself. But what I see down here in her fears is actually the Nine of Wands. And there's a few ways you can look at this. Her fear is, if you want to theoretically see it this way, as like a Jacob's ladder in the sense of, or in that Tom and Jerry episode where I'm not sure if it was Tom or Jerry, but they was going up that escalator up into the heavens. Like, you could see it that way, and maybe that could be her fear and concern because of her health conditions. But this can also symbolize how she can feel, because this is the Nine of Wands, and this has to do with creativity. This can symbolize the fact that all the hard work that she puts into her career, just like this spider, and into her health, is not going to pay off, or it's not going to translate, or maybe she won't be able to be that standout star or assert herself, make a mark for herself, create that legacy. So maybe it's all about getting connected with people, starting that drama, having that internet beef. Like she said, she was just like, okay, I see you, Danielle. That was just for some promotion. That was actually really smart. She was like, as a Capricorn, she's like, I see you, Danielle. I see you. That was smart. That was smart. I like that. That was good. That was good. So she's giving praise where praise is supposed to go. So even though that was like some internet beef that didn't really last long either, it got shut down actually pretty quickly. So I'm not sure really was that real or not. But whatever happened there, that was just some other things that added on to that, because she also could have gotten some backlash from that, because she could have been like shown as like a homewrecker or something like that. Maybe that's not her personality, and that's smearing her image and her persona online and how people see her. So because of that, that's just another thing that she had to deal with and internalize, because maybe she didn't have to deal with something like that before, but in order to engage with whatever Danielle and Lavon was, and just other things in her life, whatever could be going on in her life. She is 19 after all. So because of that, there could just be busting into the music industry. That's something new. What was the what was the feedback that she got from that? Was that well received? Did people love it? That's another thing that she also had to internalize as well. So because of that, when you put yourself out there, you also have to be willing to accept that criticism. And if you're not prepared to accept that criticism, especially I'm not making excuses for it. I'm also not trying to, I don't want to say not sympathize, but I'm not trying to downplay and play that, that person, to try to make her seem as that person that uses her illnesses as a woe is me, feel bad for me, I can't do this, I can't do that. No, that's not how she feels. In fact, maybe that's how she could feel, but that's not how she wants the world to perceive her as. Like I say, her image. So because of that, this is that all internal inner battle that she has with herself. And Libra is that balance. So because she has to go through that yo-yoing of seeing how people see her, but also seeing how she sees herself and wanting to be seen for who she really is, but also, as I always say, Libras are literally so unbalanced. It's scary to say that Libras are the balance of the zodiac sign, for real. So because of that, as having her moon in Libra, you don't want your emotions. But surprisingly, the moon does well in Libra. Surprisingly, the moon does well in Libra. I can't quite justify why that does and why that is, but maybe maybe that could just be personal bias with Libras. I'm not quite sure. But what is above in her hopes, though, what we see is the Daughter of Wands. This is her, and usually this represents the Page of Wands. So this symbolizes her and her creative energy, her fire energy. She hopes that she can change herself, make a difference, maybe change her image, maybe rework this drama. Maybe now that she's got some attention, how can she mold it into something, transform it, transmute it? Like I said, that butterfly, repurpose it. Yeah, how can she repurpose that internet beef that she had, and also what's going on in her life, and does she really want to get caught up in the world? Because what we see with her family's opinion about her and her situation and her health is what the world's. They feel that she's too worldly, or maybe they could feel that she's out there in the world, maybe too soon before her age. That could be a possibility. I'm not quite sure, but the world symbolizes Alabama's exploring herself. She's 19. The world is her oyster. She can go out there, find herself, let the bird fly the coop, basically. That's how they feel. And what do we see at the very end for her as an outcome? The Ace of Pentacles, which is a very good card, especially because she is a Capricorn. And this is an Earth card, and this is the domain. Like I said, the goat commands their space. They demand and command respect when they walk into the room. Not all Capricorns, but if you're a Capricorn, son, that's definitely in you. You can pull that out of you, and all of us can pull that out of us because we all have Capricorn in us. It just all depends on how the Capricorn's expressing in us, where Saturn could also be placed. Also, just your other sign placements too. Are you watery? Are you fiery? Are you airy? I'm not here to break down astrology and birth charts. Okay, set. Lady Crone is really inspiring me. But I see this Ace of Pentacles, and you know what? Because I pulled, like I said, I'm going to find a way to put this Two of Wands in here. I'm going to say that this Two of Wands with the Ace of Pentacles symbolizes the spark of creativity. She's on a new journey. She is that Daughter of Wands or that Page of Wands. She is that spark. She is in that infancy stage of learning and getting herself together, learning her magic, learning her elements, getting comfortable with herself, getting comfortable what she can do, manifesting. Because that's what even though Earth is physical, when I think of manifesting, you literally have to create and make something from nothing, and that's magic, and that's exactly what fire is. The spark that came from nothing, like the Big Bang, to suddenly poof, and there was existence. Like literally, that's what fire is, and that's what manifestation is to me. So that's why I'm always going to say, whenever I see fire, creativity, manifest, how are you going to get done what you're going to get done? And because this is the two, she's going to have partnerships. Like I said, she gave praise to Danielle. So there was no animosity. There was no beef. There was no hate. There was no continue to go at each other and like Nicki Minaj was with people. And because of that, she was able to show that she could play the sport well. She could play along with the game, you know. All's love and hate, no more. I know I butchered that so well, wrong, but you know what I mean. So because of that, she's showing that she's really ready to commit to some partnerships, really bond, get with people that are in the industry. It seems like she really wants to break out as an artist. And really, I'm not sure if she wants to use music as a sense of therapy to talk about herself, talk about her health. It doesn't seem like it so far, but hey, when you're trying to get the audience attention, sometimes you really just got to go mainstream and sell yourself in order to get their attention, and then you ease them in. Maybe you can draw some attention, you know, like try to do what Danielle Bergoli does. And that would honestly be a great person to collab and have a partnership with if that's the route that she chooses to go down. Maybe she wasn't, but maybe after this health scare that she had that put her into the hospital, maybe she might reflect, think about it, really think, where does she want to go? After all, her and Danielle were friends after all. And Danielle was her. She was just like, man, you know, we are friends and you still did that to me. So, you know, maybe that was a little learning lesson curve for her too, you know, learn boundaries too. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this reading about Alabama Barker and her health, which somehow turned into her career, but that could have just been due to the fact some of the pentacles and the fact that there's so much going on in her life and so much that she is doing. And because it is about finding herself, the things that she chooses to put her energy into, like music, is going to be a focus for her. And because that is something that she just recently did, and that was like her debut song, that's also a symbolism and reflection of herself, where she is mentally, and that doesn't seem to physically, the way she presented herself as a Capricornally speaking, it did not align with herself inwardly as she feels as a Libra. But she was, as Libras try to do, find that balance, try to be that people pleaser, just play it neutral, but they almost always never do. But that's okay. If you really work hard, like if you could really work hard on that, just go for anybody. But if you really work hard on that, sorry, I really hate to dig on you guys if you are a Libra. I am so sorry if I am. Anyway, that being said, I hope you enjoyed this reading on Alabama Barker, her health, and where she's honestly trying to go for life, find herself, do with her life. And as she deals with her mental health along the way as well, it's an ever-growing process that she's going to continue to go through. I'm not sure how it's going to affect her mental health, her health-wise. That could also be something on her concern too. With immune diseases, you really do have to think about traveling, going to all different states, countries, and places that could not be third world or not. So because of that, you really got to be cautious when you are I don't want to say a sickly person, but somebody that is highly sensitive to your environment. And people that are like that really do have some spiritual sides to themselves, because they are so spiritual and have so much energy and can feel and connect with the energies around them, that the earth is just physically overly stimulating, that their body low-key short circuits. So because of that, I didn't mean to laugh, but it's just funny in the way I was describing it, in the sense that highly spiritual connected beings are definitely sensitive to their environment, because you can't be sensitive spiritually and not be sensitive physically. I actually just saw a quote about that. If I find it, I will put it right here. I saw a quote about that made like literally so much sense when I saw that. I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. So because of that, they tend to be more allergic to their environments. Maybe they can't be around certain people because they just start getting mysterious illnesses. And then like once that person gets out their lives, they like revert back to normal like it was nothing. There are so many reasons for that, and that's psychological things happening because that energy, you are such an energetic being that you feel this energy that it just manifests itself physically. So because of that, and I don't want to say that she's spiritually weak, so that's why she's physically weak. No, and that doesn't mean that for anybody else either, but that just means the fact that she has to get more accustomed to the physical earth because she's so not physical and she's trying to be physical. And because of that, like at Libra, trying to have that balance, trying to be in the world but not too much in the world, especially because her especially honest. Okay, that's enough about Alabama Barker. I could even talk about her experience, how she had a whole phobia of planes, probably fear of death, honestly, let's be real here, because of her whole father at the age of 3. And the fact, she said at the age of 3, she saw that was going to come off the roof and that something was going to happen. And it happened at the age of 3. The Holy Son, Father, Trinity, that's at the age of 3, and you're telling me she's not super spiritually in tuned. Okay, so anyway, all that to be said, I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I will please leave your comments down below. I am going to be doing a reading on who she's apparently beefing with, which is Camilla. So please stay tuned for that reading. So please subscribe if you have not subscribed. It would really help the channel. We are trying to get to 2,000. Please and thank you. Leave your comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed this reading and if you enjoy astrology and if you enjoyed this content that I present and Lady Crone presents. And with that being said, I will see you, sunflowers, in the next video. Sunflowers!